Welcome to the Underground.
Turn me up, bitch!
My Little Underground with Peter A.
Good, Mike? Alrighty. Level 40 of My Little Underground. 40 episodes deep. I'm Peter A. And you can subscribe anywhere you get podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcasts are available. I'm there, even at your local deli. Yes, when I'm ordering a nice sandwich, I pull up with a microphone. That is not true. Don't go to your deli looking for me. Don't do that. Just order a sandwich and leave. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's Peter_A. I'm also on Snapchat. It's Peter_A. And you can follow the show as well at MLU Pod, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And I'm joined today by UVTV. They have a new album, Happy, and they're hanging out with me on a Saturday afternoon. What's going on, Rose and Ian? What's up?
Yo, what's up?
What brings you here on a Saturday morning besides a conversation?
Just the experience, you know?
Oh, yeah. Very flattered for you to have this experience with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. I love the new album, Happy. It's very exciting. And you guys are coming to us by way of Florida, Gainesville. Mm-hmm. Why? It's cold here, man.
I'm gonna let Ian answer this one.
I mean, I just think we were bored. I lived in Gainesville for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And it felt right, you know? Like, I didn't want to do another... It's a small, college town. And it just felt like we'd kind of plateaued there. Where, like, I could have just, like... It was either, like, settle and, like, buy a house or try something new kind of thing, you know? Mm-hmm. So... Yeah, I think just boredom and like I kind of wanted to move to New York when I got out of high school, like that was the plan, and then I just ended up going to Gainesville.
But why New York?
I mean it's a big East Coast city, and it's like close enough to Florida if you needed to I don't know, it's nice to be close to family too. So if I ever have to go back to Florida, it's pretty easy. You know?
Plus, like, international travel, too.
Well, and then, we did that tour, and we were kind of, like, keeping, you know what I mean? We did a U.S. tour, and we were like, what city, we're going to, like, we planned on moving, so we were just like, let's see which city we like the most. And we ended up, like, kind of hating all the other spots that we had went to. Mm. Like, L.A. wasn't that cool.
Yeah, that was kind of on... We wanted to move into a musical place that had, resources and people we knew and other bands. So there were the few places that we had in mind. And we're just kind of going off of a first, feeling of, do we like this? Do we like that? And at the end of it, we're just like, okay, we'll do New York,
Yeah.
Yeah, plus my family's from here, so I've had a connection to it. Since I was young. And
it was a toss-up, though. We were thinking about New Orleans for a while, but I think I'd die.
Yeah, we love New Orleans.
Yeah.
What were some of the other runners-up for cities that you would
Olympia.
Yeah, I liked Olympia a lot, actually, because it was like Gainesville, but it's beautiful, too.
Well, it's not that we were going to move there, but we felt like a strong connection to that.
Yeah,
so if we were going to do West
dope.
Coast, that would have been in the bag.
Slater Kinney's from there, right?
I think so. There's something in the water over there. All the bands we played with, yeah, it's crazy. Like all the bands that come out of there are so good, and it's like it's
beautiful.
It's
too.
a small town, but everything that comes out of there seems to be pretty choice.
Yeah. It felt on the same kind of tip as Gainesville, which is like a smaller place, but it ended up being New York, and I think we're pretty happy about it. It's been like.
Right.
Almost 2 years now going on.
Yeah, New York's cool.
Yeah.
It kicks, like, it beats you up, but...
Yeah. Especially the winters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
last
winter wasn't too bad. I have a feeling this one's going to suck.
Yeah, because summer was kind of brutal.
Yeah.
Summer kind of lasted very, very long, and it gets me scared about the winter. But you know what? That kind of makes me very optimistic as a native New Yorker to hear people that are not from New York love coming to New York, because a lot of people are leaving New York. You know
really?
What I mean?
I guess so.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my family moved out of New York a long time ago, like to Florida, etc. Yeah, and it's like we have a band from Florida coming to New York. It's like, what?
And then my parents moved from New York to Florida.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
actually,
they stopped in Atlanta along the way, but there is that ping pong thing. I don't know.
there is a weird
It's
connection
very-
because like my grandma moved to New York from Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
and then she lived
Wow.
in Canarsie, and
Wow.
like raised her family there. And she was, it was like in the 70s. New York was like way different. She's like, I'm getting out of here, and moved. That's when like a bunch of I think like a bunch of Spanish people or like Puerto Ricans were. She just like literally got her friends together. We're like, we're going to Puerto Rico, and they all moved.
My family's from Puerto Rico too. On
Oh,
my
really?
dad's side.
Nice.
Yeah. They all settled. They came to like Brooklyn, some of them, and then years later, some of them just moved down to Florida or scattered across the country. I
Yeah.
don't know what it was. Maybe my family low-key hates New York, or maybe they love the South so much.
Yeah.
They don't. Maybe they don't miss the winters. Maybe that's it.
I think that's what it is, because that's
Yeah,
what it
it's
is with
gotta
my
be.
mom. She's always saying, she complains about the heat, but she's like, I'm happy I'm not in the winter. I'm like, okay, it's a trade-off. But.
Do you guys know the band Seafang? Florida?
I've heard them. They put out a record with the guy that put out a record for us. It's Emotional Response. Our
Yeah.
friend-
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think C-Fang did a record with them.
Oh yeah. That's the only other band I know from Florida off the top of my head. I know there's
Actually,
more.
I think I may have been talking to that. I think he liked the band and like reached out and like it's just like, hey, I like you guys. We should play a show together. But we were like already getting ready to move. I think I think it's got to be the same band. They're like a noise pop kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that C86.
Yeah,
vibe.
totally.
Yeah. A lot of I've been reading like some things about you guys. A lot of people kind of group you into that whole like the shop assistants, Echo and
Yeah.
the Bunnymen, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that do you resonate with that, or it's like you know what I mean?
I'm okay with it.
I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah,
It's
like-
better than some other things, because some people just be like, oh, it's the vocals sound like this, and it's this opposite kind of like broadcast. Like, I don't think we sound anything like that. Yeah, I know. It's that's a stretch,
Or like
but
Best Coast or something. Like,
Yeah.
dude, we do not sound like that band. Sorry.
those are
Nothing
I'm
wrong
okay
with
with
band,
that.
but I don't think we sound like them.
I actually first heard of the shop assistants when we first started this band, because someone was like, you guys remind me of them.
Yeah, I think the first
Yeah.
the first couple of songs we wrote were very like, I mean, I was listening to that stuff, like, like Jesus Mary Chain and like Shop Assistants and like all that like kind of 80s noise pop stuff, 90s
I love a
noise
lot
pop
of that
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, like all that
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, I was definitely like trying to write in that vein,
Yeah.
And I think like the demo definitely was like, or like the demo and the first record were kind of more in that space. And I think I kind of find myself going back to that place a little bit,
Yeah.
songwriting wise,
You would have been on like a C86 compilation in the 80s.
That would have been cool.
You probably would have been on that.
Play
tape.
John Peelman. That dude was awesome, man.
What was that? There was a band from the 80s. They had that hit, Christine. House of something.
God, who
Oh.
The name of the band.
I feel like I just recently listened to that too.
Yeah, it's
is
been
it?
in my head
Is it
recently.
House of Love?
House of Love?
Is
It's
it?
probably
Yeah.
House of Love. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it is House of Love. But that band rules.
yeah.
They're super good.
Well, Mary Chain is a big inspiration for this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
My
well,
Little
obviously,
Underground.
my Little
Oh yeah,
Underground,
yeah, dude, that band's the best, man.
I just
Yeah.
made that connection yesterday when I was checking it out again. I was like, oh yeah, it's Jesus Mary
Crazy.
Chain.
I've seen him so many times. I saw him like 3 times in 1 year.
I know, that was lucky.
That was cool.
Yeah.
They did a Irving Plaza show when Psycho Candy turned 30.
Yeah.
Did you go to that?
I mean, we weren't in New York. We saw him in Miami
Wow.
at this
Was
like
that the
beautiful
annual-
opera house. They sounded amazing.
Yeah.
And then I saw them in Atlanta, and they were just like, they were good, but they were like kind of, it was pretty loose. Like they had to restart songs and stuff, and I was like, I just made me like this band even more.
Yeah.
Well, because they were so perfect the first time we saw
Yeah,
them in this
it was
opera house.
flawless
It
the
was
first time.
it was like the record was just playing live, and
Yeah.
then the second time they restarted, they were like talking to each other on the stage.
I kind of like that thing though.
They had like a funny, kind of attitude about it. So it was nice to see a totally different stage performance.
Yeah.
Because the first one was kind of mind-blowingly perfect and a beautiful experience. But
Yeah, they did like you saw it. They did the hits, and then they for an hour they played like a bunch of the hits, and then they did like a little break, and then they went and did Psycho Candy. It was so weird though, cause like it's like there was a bunch of it was in an opera house. So there's like seating and stuff like that,
Yeah.
And then like if you got like the expensive tickets, you got to go in the front or whatever. So we kept trying to like get past the barricade and security and like try to get in the front. And like these like like older dudes and these older people were like, "Get back! We're just trying to relive our youth," kind of thing. We're like, "Dude, like you guys are like just like recording this on your phone." It was super like I was like, "Why are you in the front?" It was kind of but
I heard a live album from them that they put out, I think around the 30th anniversary of Psycho Kenny. That was like extraordinary. They did a live version of My Little Underground that I love. Like the noisiness of the guitars kind of like come out. It just sounds wonderful. And like they're kind of band that like kind of thrive on imperfection. Because I've seen some interviews with them when they're like, "Yeah, I don't need more than 2 strings on my guitar." That's wild.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's so crazy.
Or the bass player had like well, he's just playing like eighth notes and stuff like that. It's not like he's
I mean, then
playing
it's just
some
like
jazz bass or
2
something.
drums, like very simple.
But they nailed it, man.
Yeah.
They nailed it.
Or maybe it's like
I'm
3,
hoping. I know that they're starting because I follow them, I follow them on Instagram, and they're starting to do a tour around Darklands, I think.
Wow.
Wow.
And so if they do that record, and I know that they're doing it in Europe right now. If they come to US and do it, man, it's gonna be it's gonna be awesome.
And I think it's crazy because that album is like a totally change in sound for them. Like they kind of abandoned the noisiness of which I love, but and some of that stuff is really good too. And I have their B-sides album. What was it called? Barbed Wire Kisses.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Love
I got
it.
that tape. That record's it's awesome.
So great. Your latest album, back to you guys, talking about
we could like make a whole podcast about good
just
that
on
band
that.
is.
Yeah. You recorded Happy in an abandoned train station in Gainesville?
No,
Is that true?
that was the first record.
That was the first album.
Yeah,
Okay.
the first record. There used to be this spot in Gainesville. It was like a DIY venue, and it was in this train station that these punks just like got, and we did the first one there because it was just like it was just this huge room. It sounded really good, and then but the Happy we did in a studio. We just we like rented a studio for like a day. I think we recorded everything in a day.
Wow.
And then the vocals, we like just did at like a friend's, like or the guy who engineered the record has a studio in his like garage.
Yeah.
So we just did everything there.
Did you like when you did the new album? Did you use the Tascam 388 or?
No, we did it on tape on the new album.
Yeah.
But we used the Atari MS-16, I think, or it's like the 8-track Atari. I forget what it's called. But like Nirvana used it and stuff like that on Bleached, I think.
Mm-hmm. The first record's all the Tascam 380.
Yeah, I used to have a couple, and then like when we moved here, I just sold them all.
Yeah.
Isn't like recording tape, like at least now, isn't it expensive or?
I think there's people manufacturing the tape still, so like it's not
like $50 a roll for like maybe a lower end kind of one, if I remember correctly when we had to buy it. Like 2 years ago.
For like it's like $50 a reel or something. You can get cheaper. You can find like dead stock on eBay. I haven't had to look for it in a while, but when I had those 388s, I just found like dead stock tape and was buying them for like $20 a reel and stuff. But yeah.
Isn't there like there's probably a lot of pressure to like get certain takes right because you have only a finite amount of you know what I mean? You can't just like hit pause and stop. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can't like will wear eventually if you're going back and forth.
Right.
So that deterioration is kind of scary to think
It's
about.
kind of cool though. It creates like an urgency kind of thing. It's not like where you're using a Pro Tools rig and you're just like, don't worry about it, guys. We can do it 900 more times,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a digital camera. You could just take photos and take photos and take photos, and then your film is just like the one shot you get. So I would definitely agree that it's kind of more on the page of let's try to get this all right and perfect. But when we went in for the to record Happy, we were very well rehearsed because we were trying to get it done in a small amount of time. And also we had like a budget we were working with, and it was pretty smooth recording process.
Well, the tape machine was broken, so we wasted an entire day fixing it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we paid for a day, and it was just like watching.
Well, it
this
was
guy
part of
fix
our
a tape
deal
machine.
to our engineer also worked on tape machines, so he worked in with the studio that he would repair it as like a lesser cost for us to record there. So it was a package deal. So we had to fix it so we could use it. So it was like that took a little bit of time because I don't know, those things are so finicky.
Yeah.
I'm so happy it worked out, but yeah, we weren't sure if we were gonna have a record.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the worldwide tape shortage?
Is that a thing?
Yeah. Did you hear about that?
No, I haven't heard
There
about
was
that.
I didn't like read too much into the story. There was like a worldwide shortage of a certain kind of tape, or maybe just tape in general.
Okay.
I think that's kind of crazy.
Is
know
it
what I
like
mean?
they can't make it anymore? Or?
I think it was like the material like that was used for it was running low or something like that. I forgot the whole situation with the story about that.
Huh.
I mean, you know, at some point that format's going to be like done, you know. Like eventually they'll run out of tape. Like not everyone's going to want to like even I love recording on tape, but even I've been like I use Logic more than I use my Tascam or whatever, you know. Yeah. It's easier and the way people consume music now, it's like you can't like unless you're listening on like a high-end stereo system, like you're not going to be able to tell the difference if something's on tape.
No, it doesn't matter. But like,
I like the workflow a lot.
Yeah, because you're
the workflow
like you said, the immediacy. You have to we have to get this right now because we're gonna run out of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's something romantic about like analog because I heard a Prince album on vinyl. I heard "Let's Get Crazy." I'm like,
oh, dude,
I heard this song, right? Like. I'm hearing this song in a completely different context because I just heard it on the radio.
So many more like levels of.
That song's a banger, man.
Oh. Yeah. Because there was this fun poster in the what's that tape magazine, Tape Op, where they illustrated. Because I'm such a visual person, so they illustrated this like bunny drawn out in the different ways that you can record music, and analog's this like beautiful picture with all these details, and it's very. Oh, it was in the studio recorded, and I've looked at it. I spent hours staring at it because recording takes a while sometimes, but yeah, it's all the little details of the flowers, of the way that things are shaped, and the atmosphere of which you can create music is, I feel, what analog gives in those instances. So yeah, it makes sense to me that would feel totally different.
Yeah. I mean, I think like there's just certain instruments that sound really dope on tape. Like drums sound amazing on tape. Vocals sound really good on tape. You can get away with doing them digitally, I think. But like mainly drums, man. Like I like tracking drums on tape if I can. Live drums, Yeah,
it does like a lot of like older like hip hop albums that sample live drums sound fantastic.
Oh yeah, like if Wu-Tang records and stuff. Dude,
exactly.
they like nailed that drum sound, man.
Exactly. Like I have the first Wu-Tang album on tape. It sounds extraordinary.
Yeah.
So goddamn good. But I think digital drums sound incredible too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some people can pull it off, man.
Yeah.
Like they know if you know what you're doing and stuff. For sure.
But I think you two have had the experience of being in a studio in a more professional setting, so to speak, for lack of a better term, and recording, I guess, in a DIY sense, in a train yard
all set
or
up, rented
in
microphones.
your bedrooms.
Yeah.
Like what are some of the differences or positives and negatives of recording in those two kinds of like mediums, so to speak?
Well, I would say right off the bat is the lack of pressure with time when you're recording on your own, because you're given a little bit more creative freedom to kind of play around, or your equipment more than you would maybe in a studio where there's a bunch of new things that you have never played with before. If you had more time in a studio, that would be great, because then you could really kind of sit down with those things. But we tend to kind of demo stuff out at the house a lot, or like outside of practice, and that's when I feel like we really get the essence of the song, when we're not in like a space that's kind of demanding us to work so fast, or I feel that pressure in a studio. So I would say that's like the biggest factor, is kind of this freedom to experiment a little bit more when you're in like a DIY space or something that you set up on your own. Yeah,
I mean, definitely time. I think like if you have a huge budget, like if we're like if you're like a big band, then you have the time, and so I would prefer our thing is like we never had any budget.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We come from a very like the budget's like maybe $500, and that's like 6 hours at a studio.
We have to get creative about how we do things. So
so we've always kind of had to rush in the studio. So like when you do it at home, you can take your time with it. You also like have less options, which I think is like a good thing when you're recording sometimes. Like,
but then on the other side of that, in a studio, you do have so many more options and things. Oh, I've always wanted to work with that pedal or this amp or something.
Yeah, you waste so much time doing that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, especially like an engineer who really wants to play with his gear. He's like, oh, I wonder what this thing sounds like with this compressor. And you're like, dude, it didn't even sound bad to be like, do we need that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so.
It depends on the situation, but I would say we've had a good handful of both experiences in the studio. I tend to fall asleep in the studio.
In this studio?
Like in a studio that we're in right now, when he's doing his
sitting around stuff.
Other tracks for
I'm
guitar.
like the one where like I'm sitting with the engineer like, all right, we need to do this and stuff.
Yeah.
She's just like,
I'm like, sounds good and good.
Yeah.
You get comfortable in a sense in a studio, right?
I just get so.
They're always like dim. They're always like really dim
they're
lighting.
Perfect for sleeping.
Sometimes they're really cold. Sometimes
like
sometimes they're really cold. It's like kind of perfect.
I could sleep in this.
There's always a nice couch.
Yeah, it's a nice couch.
Like a nice comfy couch.
Yeah.
They want you to stay longer so you're on the clock more.
Yeah,
So
you feel comfortable. Bring your friends.
Come on,
let's all chill out here in the studio. Yeah, no. We will never bring a friend to the studio. Sorry, that's just.
I've done it. It's terrible.
We've
Especially
had people like come help, but they just. We'll bring like a photographer friend or something in where he has like a job or whatever. That's the only person I could see.
I don't think we've ever done that.
I mean, well.
Next time.
Next time is yeah.
I think the next record we're gonna do ourselves.
Yeah, probably.
Our drummer now is like we have a new drummer and he's like really into like recording music and stuff. So like, and
where would you record it? Would you do it in a studio?
He has like a really dope apartment where it's just like high ceilings and like has like this one brick wall and it's just pretty open right now. I think I want to try tracking drums there. Or maybe doing it there. He's got like a 388. He's from North Carolina. He like left his 388 there, but I think when the time comes, we'll go grab it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, track it all in his loft or his apartment, and I think that would be the way to go. I'm kind of, and then maybe mix it in a studio. I like mixing in a studio.
Yeah, that's cool.
But like tracking stuff, like, I think it's like I don't know. Sometimes I like when stuff doesn't sound perfect.
Yeah.
And so like, but then like having the freedom to like mix it and stuff with like a good system is cool.
Yeah, because I think with podcasting, I love being in a studio setting because when you bring in people that don't know who you are, I think it's like, okay, this guy's the real deal. But like, I can do it. I've done it at venues. I've done it in my house.
Yeah.
You know
in
what
your
I mean?
bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in my living room, my dining room. As long as like the content is great and like the output, the recording is like solid, you could do it whenever, wherever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's why I think the appeal is with like podcasting and for people to make music nowadays, like maybe more of a like solo kind of personal project, because it's just easy to make it at home or demo it at home, and that's why I feel like there's so many more kind of like solo artists that do these kind of experimental albums, because they can just kind of play at their house and get like decent recordings or
bedroom producers, man. It's
the
future.
Yeah,
It's
true.
Why not? Why not? I mean, I think that being creatives is like you own your medium, you own your canvas.
Yeah.
That can be anywhere you want. It doesn't like two albums that come out that one is bigger than the other. Maybe the bigger album was probably made in like someone's bedroom or garage or whatever. And I think if I was a musician or any kind of creative and I had like a lot of money, like I would use any resource I have. Like, I think the best example is like Foo Fighters. They did one of their albums in a garage.
Yeah, he built a studio.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but not everybody can do that. But if you're a millionaire like Dave Grohl, you can. You know, why not? You know what I mean? But
there is something relatable about people just like doing it themselves in their home or something. It's just like instantly more like homemade in the way that I think people connect to. That's why I feel like people kind of gone into this like kind of analog style music because it feels very close to home, or maybe something that's like more lo-fi. I tend to like connect with that really quickly. Like, long as it's audible, like I can hear it and it's not super, the levels are good and something that is.
I think there's something to that because there's a lot of like artists I know that do music like at very low fidelity, but it can be like brilliant in a way.
Right.
And there's stuff that's like overblown and overproduced that's like shitty.
Right.
But there's stuff that's like too lo-fi and too DIY where it's like it's not legible. You can't hear anything. It's not like anything like you would actually listen to.
Right.
So I think when you have little resources or you're making something from nothing, as long as like again like the content, whatever you're creating is there, you have song structure, you have a melody, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If the song's good, it doesn't matter the fidelity. You know what I mean?
Not.
Like it comes down to the songwriting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think there's certain artists that like, that go the better room route that's like so bad it's like I just want to hear an overproduced Beyonce song right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but sometimes like songs can be, like I said, like can be so big and just overdone. It's like I can't listen to this right now. It's too stimulating. You know what I mean?
Right, there's too much going on.
Way too much going on.
It'd be cool to have like a lo-fi Beyonce song though.
That would be sick.
That would be really cool.
I'm sure it'd be pretty good.
She put out I think on like the Spotify version of Lemonade, she had like a demo.
Oh,
as
that's
like
cool.
The last track that was like kind of cool.
Is it good?
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Yeah. I hope something comes of that, or maybe nothing will come of it. But it was kind of interesting to see that kind of thing. I want to know about Gainesville's DIY scene, like the kind of bands or artists that kind of played that you might have played with.
Mm-hmm. Like from there, or like that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, we kind of formed in the middle towards the end of a pretty big like hardcore punk revival that happened there in early 2012, 2013. And so we were always kind of around the mix of that for a while. And then we had this band called Soda who ended up being kind of, a sister band to us. We'd play shows all the time. Currently, there's always a music scene there. And it's always kind of ebbing and flowing, but it's always seems to be a priority of the business owners there and the people to have that be a part of the town.
You still do that the fest and stuff.
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
like the No Idea record label is based out of there and ran there for a long time. So, and then the fest is like, of course, a huge establishment.
It wasn't really my thing, but.
Well, it was cool that it happened in town, and they always supported the bands in Gainesville. They always had them on the show or different shows, and I would say that it's a great place to really nurture your creative talent because there's not a lot of stress, like city stress or anything like that. Like your rent could be like $300 or less. Like I've paid less than that.
What, to live or like
like your rent?
Yeah,
really?
Rent is so cheap.
Oh
there.
yeah, it's
like we had a house that was like this awesome house for like $700.
Yeah.
Front and backyard.
Why'd you leave?
Well, it's just like I don't know. It's like that stuff's cool. There's like nature and stuff. It's beautiful there.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful town.
You can really create what you want.
But like sometimes it's nice to have like some like you don't have as much drive there because you're so comfortable.
Yeah.
You gotta like
or
get
it's easy
outside
to
of that.
It's easy to get in that if you wanted, but I don't know. I felt like we kind of had like push ourselves.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, and I don't know, it's like a sleepy town. No one wants to do anything.
But as far as the music scene goes, it's super diverse. I mean, you can have stuff from hardcore to experimental, kind of, I don't even know what to describe, like electronic. There's a huge queer scene there. There's a studio that just opened up there that we recorded a live session in, and that's all new. So
The studio is pretty dope.
yeah. So it's you know, growing.
Yeah, I don't really have I don't know about the pulse in it. I mean, like when I moved there, I didn't know anyone. And then I went to the library and like they had like the best CD selection I've ever seen. So I found out about Black Tambourine.
Wow, from
like,
the library.
Yeah, like Deer Hunter. They had like this dude, Travis Fristo, I think. He passed away. That's his name, right?
I never really met him, but
Dude, but this
I've
guy
heard of
had
him.
like this guy like kind of I never even met him really either, but
he
had
filled the
like
library
he
with
had like impeccable
things.
taste, man,
Yeah.
and he was the one picking all the CDs and stuff. So I just did that, and then I found a CD from from a local band that I kind of liked, and then there was this band Saint Dad, which was like really really good, definitely like ahead of their time as far as like that whole like egg punk thing goes.
Egg punk?
Oh,
Yeah, like the
God.
weird like Midwest stuff. They kind of sound like they were just. If you haven't heard about that, egg
No.
punk.
Oh,
Egg punk's like
gosh.
it's like weirdo punk, like kind of like Devo-y kind of. I don't know. It's really.
It was a joke
Yeah,
that
it's a joke,
became
but it is a thing.
huge meme. I don't even know what to call it, but there's chain punk and then there's egg punk, and chain is like the more hardcore punk, and then egg is like the weirdo art punk. So it went way too far. But it's a really
It
good.
is like a genre though.
It's a really good way of
You just coined the genre.
describing certain types of music in a way. I'm sure if you looked it up, you could find it on Instagram or something. But
Chain punk.
yeah,
It's like it's like an offshoot of hardcore.
it's like
right?
it's like that kind
Yeah,
of yeah.
It's an offshoot of hardcore.
Like
No,
power-
I
It's,
wouldn't
it's
say-
under that umbrella.
I wouldn't say it's a genre though. It's like a way of describing. I guess that's a
That's-
genre.
that's everything,
But,
yeah.
It's a genre.
but it's still
I don't know,
considered
whatever,
a joke.
yeah, so like that band Saint Dad was really good.
Yeah.
They were only like a band for like a year.
I'm
and that-
fascinated by this egg punk.
Mm-hmm.
Egg punk.
Yeah, you gotta John Mayer's an egg punk. He like
John Mayer's an egg punk?
yeah, he like tweeted it.
Really?
No
Yeah, I
way!
swear I think it's fake, but I don't know. I saw that and I was like, what the hell?
John Mayer is actually like, I don't love his music, but he's an interesting person.
He's a good talker.
Yeah.
I don't like his music at all. And I think he can be like kind of. I watched an interview. I think it was on Hot Ones, and he was on it, and I was like, okay. Sometimes an interview
Yes.
can save someone. Like I was like, he doesn't seem as big of a kind of seemed like he was a jerk, and then I was like, I don't know, he's not. I don't know, whatever. I don't like John Mayer, but
He has some
His interview
cool
was
songs.
good.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but like he was on Chappelle's show. I don't know if you know the
Yeah, I
famous
remember.
skit.
Yeah, I
it was
remember that
brilliant.
skit.
It was so great.
they go to like the barber shop.
Yeah, they play different types of music
Yeah.
and see what cultures react to certain types of music.
Right.
It kind of plays into like stereotypes of certain races, but it's very Dave Chappelle kind of was brilliant in walking that line.
Oh,
You know
dude,
what I
he's
mean?
he's the man.
Brilliant.
He's like, if not the best comic. I don't know. He's super good, man. I mean, I just watched that special with him, and I think like he went a little too far, but it was
Yes.
still kind of funny.
Yes.
There's funny parts, but there's jokes where it kind of feels bullying a little bit,
It's
or like kind of old school. You know what I mean? Like you're like, dude,
Yeah.
really like. But I still think, he's got his place in the history books of comedy.
I just love that. He was able to be so just. It was overtly offensive,
Right.
But I don't know. There was still some it was very creative in how
Yeah.
he did. I don't know what it is. It was so violently blunt, and that's what I appreciated it. You know what I mean? You can watch it because again, he's a stand-up comedian. So when you're watching this and you feel uncomfortable, I think you're supposed to feel that
Right.
way to a
Yeah.
degree from certain comics. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how we got to Dave Chappelle, but John Mayer.
Jumping around.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Went from egg punk to John Mayer to Dave Chappelle.
But I'm obsessed with this.
Bring it
wow,
home.
egg punk. But are there any other kind of tropes of the Gainesville DIY scene? Because Long Island has the emo stigma.
Pop punk.
Oh,
yeah,
pop punk.
Yeah.
People always, I think people just assume that we were like. I remember we played this band. They're like, we thought you guys were swamp people. Or something.
Swamp?
They hear like Gainesville, and Gainesville's like has
thought
like
we were
a
gonna be
swampy
these
town. They thought we were gonna be this like crepid troll things that are just playing pop punk or something.
Alligator punk.
Great.
No.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, I know. It's like what?
I think
Is that a real thing?
No.
I'm about to say.
No. I was about to be like, thank God.
I'm sure someone's coined that somewhere. But
well, that would be like some like weird university reference or something because the school's there.
There's like all the pop punk thing. I mean,
well, Florida has that,
But the hardcore scene there was so it's like the furthest thing from that. You know what I mean? Like the hardcore scene was really good there for like a minute, and then like everyone moved.
Yeah.
Like all the people I was like, kind of like hanging out with and stuff. Everyone just started moving. I think they had enough of it.
Mm-hmm.
The university buys everything. All the it's a small town, so you can only there's only so much space you can do shows and stuff.
What college is there?
UF.
University of Florida.
Yeah, University of Florida, and like just people with money started moving there and like buying. Like I had this really awesome practice space, and then these guys came in and bought the studio and stuff. Like I was living in this practice space, and it was like $300 for this awesome room.
Yeah.
And then they came in and it just started getting like that was the vibe. Like people are gonna move in.
A lot of tech startups, kind of.
Tech, like all that stuff. So
in Florida.
Yeah, like
really?
and then you just start seeing like businesses. Like there was this really cool place where I used to get like photos developed, and that place was going down. I was like, all right, I can't even like do anything here anymore.
Yeah.
It's time to go.
Yeah.
And so it felt like the city was gonna change.
It is.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And so like I didn't really want to be, we didn't really want to be there anymore.
So New York is kind of like almost perfect for you guys because, from what I've seen from other bands, there's a lot of places to practice here, right?
Yeah, we've got a cool spot in Williamsburg.
Yeah.
It's like right next to Pasta Whiz. It's like right by the water. Actually, Pasta Whiz is gone now, but that's how I look how to get there.
Is that by Rough Trade?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
I think it's on
North First.
North
Well, yeah.
North First. Wow. Okay.
Come say hey.
Knock on the door.
I actually love going to band practices sometimes because a friend of mine's in a band and watching their practice space them practices. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they record out of they rehearse in like a garage in Wantagh. And it's
Oh,
just really
jealous.
it's like a hangout.
Yeah, I'm
spot.
jealous.
It's really
I kind of want to move to like what's the Deep Queens? What's that name? Maspeth. Get a
Aspen.
get a
Yeah.
house in Maspeth and practice in the garage.
It's funny because that's where my mom was born.
Really?
So
Yeah.
if I told her I was moving there, she'd be like, "Oh my God, that's where I would live when
Kinda
I was younger."
I do miss the space part
Yeah.
of Gainesville. Like
Yeah.
we could just practice in the house and stuff.
Yeah, it's it's a different change, but it's something that we're happy to do.
Sure.
Also, I feel even since we've been here, there's been so many more venues opening
And closing and opening
closing,
again.
yeah. But
Yeah,
it's
there's a lot of
because it's so much is happening. So many bands. I mean, people I know that are in bands are also in like 3 other bands. So
Yeah.
it's just, I mean, it's always been the case, I believe, in New York City. Like even before I lived here, touring here or like coming to visit, it's always been a very thriving place for music, particularly like rock or punk or that, sound. But it's nice to see that it's supported by business owners and stuff like that. Other people we like being surrounded a lot of people doing other creative stuff too. And that was a huge reason we wanted to move, is to kind of find more of a community. Not that didn't exist there, but just wanted to change in that sense too.
You guys have been here 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys ever play the Out on the Streets festival? You know about that?
Mm-mm.
There was around that area of Maspeth,
Okay.
sort of Ridgewood area. There was a festival that kind of put on New York bands. It was really, really cool. I don't know why they stopped doing it. Maybe something happened, but it was really awesome.
I'd love to play outside. Like
Yeah.
I have a twin sister, and she is also a musician too. and they played in Tompkins Square Park, and I don't know, that just seems like
The show is cool.
that's like the coolest show that you could possibly ever play in New York City is like in a park, and or like Central
during the
Park
day,
or
yeah.
during, I don't know, that just seems like such a classic.
It's nice to like Sunday
York
afternoon go see
moment, yeah.
a hardcore show. It's kind of cool in the middle.
Yeah,
of
well, there's
Tompkins.
something nice about bringing it out into the open, especially something
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
as, versus as like hardcore. It's like everyone, the person in New York City walking by, like probably doesn't go to hardcore shows or know much about that scene. So it's
Right.
kind of nice to bring it out into the open in the daytime.
Have you been to a Central Park Summer Stage show?
I wanted to go to the
I
last
haven't,
one. I
but
wanted
I've
to go
heard
to the
of
last
them.
one, but yeah, I think it ended up raining
Really?
at the last
For
one.
sure.
I don't know. There was this one. I forget who was playing that I wanted to see, kind of. But I haven't made it to one of those yet.
They're really interesting. They're
Yeah?
really cool.
They sound
they're
good?
free. Yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
cool.
I think the last one I went to, it was for work, and who was playing? I think it was ASAP Mob. It was and Kid Cudi.
That's
cool.
And Kid
Yeah.
Cudi was like so late.
Oh.
He was
Oh, man.
But I don't know what happened. I think he was playing another show, but he was so late. But it didn't matter because when he touched down, the crowd went absolutely insane. It was unreal. Like Kid Cudi has like a crazy dedicated audience. It was unbelievable.
They waited for him, and then when he showed
waited
the
and
anticipation.
waited and waited. And he showed up, and everyone. I couldn't even hear him perform. The crowd was singing
Wow.
along to everything. It was
awesome.
unreal.
That's
But,
cool. To be
yeah.
around that type of energy is really fun.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like your typical thing you'd be down to see, it's always nice to see other people excited about
Yeah.
something.
And I like Kid Cudi, so it was kind of
Oh,
cool.
cool, yeah.
So, yeah. I love your definition of happy. You know what I mean? Because it's so different from everybody else's. Happy is subjective.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And yeah, I want you to like expound on like your definition of happy, Rose.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, but, I feel like for this record at the time when I was thinking about the word happy, I just wanted to be in a place of neutrality with myself and how I am in the world, and as a creative person putting out work in the world. Like I wanted to be in this neutral place because I feel like happy isn't really highs or lows. It's like kind of right in the middle. It's this content feeling. And the song Happy on the record kind of talks about that in the way of, there's, especially when we were writing it, there was so much changing about the world, so many quick things happening. And it's just kind of like finding your own place in that and wanting to be okay with yourself and know that, it's just this thing that's always changing. And that's why I think you picked up on the kind of difference where it's not all the way happy. Like happy doesn't mean this joy. It can mean just this like silence in a way, or this stillness in a way. So I think that's what I was thinking about, particularly in that song as well.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of ups and downs in that song, and then there's lots of kind of mid points as well. And it's not always easy either to try to be in that place. So I would say that's my
Almost like connecting to your past and being content,
yeah,
finding a freedom and just understanding your past, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I would say that's another great way for, especially in that song, because a lot of us had to grow a lot in the past couple of years. I feel like things have just really changed, and it's either like you kind of get on board with the forward motion of the world and where we're moving and we're growing towards, and you got to do that, or you're just going to stay stuck in this past, and that can be kind of a difficult place to be in. But it's not always easy changing, So that was my kind of thought on this feeling of being in that place of movement. So yeah, because we wrote it in 2017, right?
Yeah, it took a while to like get out. I think we recorded it in 2017.
Yeah.
Maybe like early 2018, maybe.
Mm-hmm. But I would say overall, the record kind of encapsulates all these different types of emotion. There is a lot of joy and fun, and then there is a lot of like kind of anger and frustration. And I like that there's a wide variety of those things in the record. Yeah.
What do you find romantic about the past?
Okay, I really like
Both
that
of you,
you've
yeah.
said romantic because I really love the idea of making romantic music, and I think that's something that we're gonna further push, like on the next record. But I forgot the question. Sorry. I just got stuck on that word and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that."
What's romantic? What do you think is romantic about the past?
Oh
past
God,
or
we're
just
so
any kind of
nostalgic.
past?
Sorry.
Oh, really?
I think that the good feelings that you have, the good memories, that's romantic. But that's like personal. That time you had, a nice summer vacation somewhere, or you met your best friend for the first time and had like, this like fun moment in your past. I think that that's romantic when you look back on something that you love, or that you felt, really strongly about. But you can't get like stuck on that too, because then you're just kind of living there or wanting that to repeat itself, or something like that. So that I would say is something that romance can be seductive in that way of like wanting to stay, nostalgic. You can't do that for too long.
No.
Prince actually said he never visits the past. He doesn't think in the past.
Smart guy.
I know.
2000, party's over.
Yeah.
Out of time.
Oh, dude.
Out of time, baby.
I was like, how does he do that?
Guy didn't write a bad song, man.
No.
Man, I was listening to 1999 recently after coming back from a show in Brooklyn. I think that it was like perfect because it's like it's nighttime. You kind of hear everything, and the highways are empty, and I'm just like in shock. I'm like, God damn! Like he didn't write like a bad song. Like what's going on here?
Dude, and
you know what I mean?
Think about all the songs he has in his vault. Like they have like over 2,000 songs he didn't put out or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's gonna be when someone gets a hold of that and they put it out. It's gonna be.
Well, it's because he didn't have a phone, so he didn't.
He didn't have a phone?
Yeah, that's
crazy.
He was like, someone around me has one. You can get in touch with me.
Oh, that's cool. Smart.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to be on that level.
I think there's something like romantic about being nostalgic because you're like, man, like if you eat it, like let's say if you have Gushers, right, when you're a kid,
Yeah.
and you just think about when you see a pack of Gushers, you're like, you just think about your childhood and that time or that moment or whatever, like what something smelled like or whatever. But then when you get older and you eat Gushers, like this is not good for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In one of our songs, I forgot the name of it.
Which one?
The faster one, like all this beauty and
Mirror.
Mirror. God. Okay. That song, I'm just describing beautiful memories that I had, like the color. Oh man, I should know my own song, but I'm literally describing
We barely play it,
the different things that I have in memories. It's just stating those. It's like nonlinear.
Or just things that don't age well are the antithesis of that. Things that kind of age well, like, going back to Prince. When I was hearing Prince when I was a kid, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. This is a nice song. But then you get older and then you hear 1999 again.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think that, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't like the past, generally speaking.
Right.
Right.
But what I do like are things that kind of age very well, that are like, that kind of defeat the, the time period that it was born in.
Right.
Like the first 2 Nirvana albums. When I'm listening to it, I don't think 1989 or 1991. I think, okay, I'm listening to this in 2019, almost 2020. This still slaps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a huge accomplishment, I think, for any artist to have their work, become relevant in a future generation. That means that you're thinking about things or making things that are maybe not, I don't want to say like ahead of its time, but maybe they're more truthful, and therefore it resonates then, but then also later we can kind of give it an analysis and see it in less of a superficial way. Maybe when we were younger, we just liked it because it was hard hitting and, in your face. And then later it's like, oh no, there's a little bit more meaning to this that I'm picking up now because I'm older, or even, generationally speaking. I mean, I could even say that with like Fleetwood Mac, for example. They still tour and sell out arenas, and they're so old, like that's a huge accomplishment, I think, for any artist.
I mean, I think when you have something timeless, like a classic album. I think when it's done and you're listening back to it, and you like, you're like, okay, this is gonna stand the test of time. People remember this, like,
yeah,
I don't know, the Crocodiles, like the Echo and the Bunnymen record, like In Utero, the Nirvana record, Psycho Candy's another one. What's the Fleetwood Mac record? Like some of this,
I mean, a lot of their records, in all truth.
All this stuff's like kind of has like this like timeless. It could have came out today, or it could come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could have came out in the '60s or whatever.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Like the first Stooges, like they were.
Yeah, dude.
They weren't commercially successful at all. But now Iggy Pop is like a legend.
I met him, dude.
You met him?
Yeah, I shook his hand.
Oh yeah.
It was kind. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really meet him.
Did he like shake your hand and he wasn't even looking at you?
No. Like we knew this dude who worked for, like they had this party in Miami like for Sailor Jerry, and so we went to we like drove down there to give him like a band I was in. We made like a demo and we were gonna give it to him. And so we drove all the way down there. We were like drinking and stuff, and we it finally comes like that time where the guy was like, oh, you can go up to him, right? Because he had his like bouncer next to him or whatever. So I go up to him, and I'm like gonna hand him the demo and shake his hand, and then the band that's playing starts playing, so he can't hear anything. And he was just like, gave me like that sign he couldn't hear, and I was just like, all right, dude, here you go. And
I love that he lives in Miami.
Would you give him?
He's around. I gave him a demo.
Oh, wow.
So, and then, because he has that BBC show.
Still?
I think so. I don't know. I don't really listen to it too much. It's BBC, right? The radio over there?
Yeah, in the UK.
Yeah. But his manager was like, Iggy's really busy, doesn't have time to listen to your demo. I was like, all right, whatever. It's cool. I understand.
That's amazing.
But he's like around there and stuff. Like, he lives in Miami. He goes to like Churchill's and stuff apparently, to the record store.
Like even the Velvet Underground is another example. Like their music is so not like, because they're, I think on White Heat White Light, I think he's telling a story, and then there's like to the left side of your headphones or whatever, it's like he's telling this narrative that's crazy convoluted. Then there's like instrumentation to the right.
Yeah, that song's awesome.
It's great. What was it? Lady Godiva's something.
I can't remember the
name of the song.
The name of the song, but yeah, he's telling a story about this guy who like ships himself in a box, and then the girl goes to open the package and accidentally kills him. I think that's the point of the short story. But it's like so John Cale and like panned like hard right.
Yeah.
And then there's like guitar noodling like panned like hard left or whatever. That song, might be Lady Godiva's Secret or something.
Yeah,
like
something like that. Yeah, I just
forget the name of it.
You could listen to it like 50 years later, and it's still just like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I like that whole idea of narrative within the context of like songwriting. Yeah, it's hard to do.
Yep.
So when you pull it off, it's pretty cool. If you can tell a story within a song, that's there's like Neil Young and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
He's
at
another
that.
one. Rappers do it well too, especially like
for
Wu-Tang,
sure.
for example.
Yeah, Wu-Tang.
Biggie did it very well. Jay-Z did it well. Nas did it well.
You got all those extra verses.
Yeah.
You can really like fit a story in there.
Yeah. So what does 2020 look like for UVTV?
We hopefully are going to Europe late July. I think that's the plan, and then a new record. I want to honestly, I want to finish a record before we get to go to Europe, so we can kind of. I think we're talking about doing an EP. We've got a couple songs sitting.
We're just happy that we were able
now.
to kind of reestablish the band here, because that was a challenge at first, finding the right person to work with for a drummer and putting out this record. So I'm very happy with playing shows and just kind of getting settled here. But yeah, hopefully we'll do another record or like start getting that demoed out. We have a compilation that we're on that's coming out. We just got them, actually. It's like a tape compilation. And Severed Hand, that was on our last record. We have a sped up live version that we do that's coming out on that, and another music video. But 2020 is kind of not planned for much besides the European tour.
Tour and finish another record. I think that's like the main goal,
Yep.
You guys were on a zine, right?
Mm-hmm.
What?
What was a zine? You were on a zine. You were featured in a zine.
Like in...
I forget which one.
I forget. Yeah, this was like last year.
The kid that took the one kid that used to come to all the shows, that guy?
It's so like kind of in the back of my mind that I'm having a hard time remembering it. But he was there our last show that we had with our drummer, and interviewed us and got a photo, and that was nice. That actually was.
That kid's super nice. I like what he's doing too. He's like younger. And
yeah.
Like I like that like younger people making shit happen.
Yep.
Like
And
having drive to do something like in a physical way, like a zine or
I think that's cool because we live in a world where there's so many blogs, there's so many bands, so many artists.
Yeah.
It's kind of just everything kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But like to have people that still make physical zines, you can't really get distracted. You're not competing with anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think that is so cool, especially when when it's done well. Because I think I went to this zine fair once, and I still have a few of them in my house. One was about like being vegan and being broke. It was really cool. It was a bunch of different recipes of how to eat right, but like on a budget.
Book.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love stuff like that.
Are you vegan?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it's like it's curious to see like if I would ever want to go on a meatless diet. Like
right. You have your little handy book to get you through it.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes me think of like the anarchist cookbook, where you could like.
Well, the book, they tell you to make bombs and stuff.
I mean, it's a more extreme example of it,
yeah, I was gonna say,
but I do like this
veganism
kind of
and
easy, quick
domestic
guide.
terrorism?
No.
Wow.
But on that note, I would like to be in more zines. I would like to be more involved with other people making different creative platforms. Like this is great, this podcast that we're on. I love the community of the art and music world, so anytime to be a part of that, we're definitely always excited.
Yeah, I think
that would be
maybe.
awesome.
Yeah, we should.
I want to do like a photo zine.
Yeah, we're both really into
ultraviolet or
photography.
ultraviolet television. Mm-hmm. I would buy that.
It'd be
like okay.
I wonder what the content.
I'm a
would
graphic
be.
designer. I
There
should
you
make
go.
this.
Just from a visual standpoint.
I like how
It would be
back in the
good.
day bands did fan clubs. That was really cool. Like the
a fanzine?
pastels. Well, like they had like a mailing list. Like you could.
Oh yeah.
Like join the fan club and they would send you like stuff around the band and stuff. I guess now you have like Instagram to follow bands or whatever, but like, or even
but it's cool to like
minor
kind
threats.
of
It's personal
make it
that way.
less, online. I don't know, because it's the surprise of getting it, and maybe it's like more than you expected. I like the idea of drops where people are like, pre-order this, like here's what it's gonna look like, and then there's a couple special things,
like
and then
limited stuff.
yeah, because that also makes it more cost effective for the person. But
Right.
yeah, I'll make a zine now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get on it. UVTV, Ian and Rose, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
No problem.
The new album is Happy. Go stream it, buy it. And where can people follow you on social media or?
So
Where
I
can
don't
people
know when
buy
this
your
is coming
zines?
out, but we're actually playing a show December 1st at Rough Trade. So
What?
yeah, but then you can follow us on Instagram. We have a really cool website. It's UVTV. uv-tv.world.
What?
Or the domain uvtvmusic.com works as well. But yeah, come say hey to us at our practice space.
You got the address now.
Yeah, the address.
Or sort of, North First.
But yeah, that's it. Pretty simple.
Cool.
Oh, Instagram, uvtv. Did I say
is
that?
it UV underscore?
It's UV_TV, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, check out our compilation coming out soon. Music video coming soon. Yeah, that's it.
Sweet.
Yep.
Level 40, My Little Underground's Peter A. hanging out UVTV. Don't forget to subscribe to My Little Underground, all podcast platforms. Follow me, Peter A. Twitter, Instagram, it's Peter_A and Snapchat as well. Follow the show at MLU Pod, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at MLU Pod. And I'll see you guys in a little while. Sound good?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Bye.